The identification of COVID criminals through public evidence establishes the foundation for a structured system of accountability that addresses the full hierarchy of coercion within the COVID response. This framework distinguishes primary coercers who directed policies from those who implemented them under pressure, while maintaining the imprescriptible status of COVID treason, COVID murder, and COVID child abuse. The proposed punishment model operates as one conceptual approach among possible frameworks, designed to mirror the harms inflicted during the response. It consists of 3 integrated phases: shutdown, lockdown, and full vaccination, that impose reciprocal consequences calibrated to the scale and nature of the offenses. These phases apply after formal determination of guilt in proceedings suited to the self-evident public record. The shutdown phase requires the complete economic and professional neutralization of convicted COVID criminals. Upon identification and arrest, individuals lose their positions, income sources, and accumulated assets through systematic confiscation. This mirrors the widespread business closures, job losses, and financial destruction experienced by segments of society under the original mandates. The process involves comprehensive asset discovery and forfeiture, ensuring that those who orchestrated societal shutdowns experience equivalent restriction of their own capacity to operate and prosper. This phase begins immediately following arrest and continues through subsequent legal stages, preventing any continuation of influence or benefit derived from prior roles. The lockdown phase enforces physical custody following conviction. Convicted individuals remain in secure detention throughout the determination of full asset disposition and any additional investigative needs. This directly parallels the restrictions on movement, assembly, and personal liberty imposed on the public during the response. The lockdown operates in conjunction with Star Chamber-style proceedings, where the public record receives formal presentation and judicial affirmation of guilt. The custody ensures compliance with the overall punishment sequence while allowing for orderly resolution of financial and evidentiary matters. The full vaccination and mask mandate components of the punishment framework. The final phase mandates full vaccination according to the schedules and formulations previously imposed on the population. Convicted COVID criminals receive every dose they once required others to accept, administered under supervised, public conditions. This reciprocity ensures that those who enforced vaccination policies experience the identical regimen, including any catch-up doses for prior non-compliance. The requirement extends for the duration established by the original protocols, creating ongoing personal engagement with the measures they championed. This component operates as a direct conceptual mirror, applying the same standards of compulsion and compliance that define the response. Mask mandates form an integral element of the incarceration period. From the moment of arrest, convicted individuals must wear masks at all times while in custody. Refusal triggers the use of secure apparatus designed to maintain mask placement without exception. This enforcement continues until completion of the full vaccination phase. The measure replicates the masking requirements imposed on children, workers, and citizens throughout the pandemic, ensuring experiential equivalence in the conditions of restriction and discomfort. The framework treats this as an essential demonstration of consistency between the original policies and their application to those responsible. These punishment elements integrate seamlessly with the Star Chamber model of public proceedings. The open, judge-led format presents the documented public record, affirms guilt on the basis of self-evident evidence, and immediately transitions into the shutdown, lockdown, and full vaccination sequence. The process maintains formal judicial oversight while delivering swift, visible reciprocity. As a conceptual model, this framework prioritizes proportionality and memory, ensuring that the architects of the response confront the full scope of consequences they imposed on others. Hierarchical identification and the coercion ladder in accountability. The accountability process employs a top-down and bottom-up methodology to map the full coercion hierarchy. Primary identification focuses on federal executives, including presidents and vice presidents who issued public statements and directives, along with cabinet members and senior agency administrators at the CDC, NIH, and FDA. These leaders directed the national framework that compelled subordinate action. State governors and their health department heads translated federal guidance into localized mandates, while legislative leaders enabled the necessary authorities. Municipal mayors and city council leaders enforced community-level measures through coordinated associations. Institutional coercers include pharmaceutical executives, corporate leaders, media executives, technology platform executives, hospital administrators, and educational officials who implemented and amplified the policies. Each level exercised authority to compel compliance from employees, students, patients, and the public. The public record of statements, policies, and enforcement actions provides the evidentiary basis for placement within the coercion ladder. This structured identification ensures that responsibility traces accurately from directive to execution. Lower-level participants coerced into implementation receive differentiated evaluation. The framework creates incentives for cooperation by recognizing degrees of compulsion from superiors. This produces a self-reinforcing process in which conviction of higher-level coercers generates evidence and testimony against remaining layers. The ongoing nature of the accountability mechanism allows for additional phases as new information emerges, ensuring comprehensive coverage across federal, state, local, and private institutions. Integration with pre-planning, immunities, and imprescriptible status. The punishment framework operates within the broader context of pre-planning and accumulated legal immunities. The strategic positioning of liability shields and emergency powers over decades created the conditions for execution with anticipated impunity. This premeditated architecture compounds the malum in se character of the offenses, demonstrating conscious design rather than mere opportunism. The shutdown, lockdown, and full vaccination sequence directly counters this engineered absence of accountability by imposing reciprocal consequences that the original immunities could not prevent after formal determination of guilt. The imprescriptible status of COVID treason, COVID murder, and COVID child abuse provides the legal foundation for the entire process. No statute of limitations applies, allowing the framework to address crimes regardless of elapsed time. The public record of both the planning and execution supplies self-evident evidence that supports swift progression through star chamber proceedings into the punishment phases. This integration ensures that the response to the crimes matches their coordinated and protected nature. The conceptual model emphasizes memory and deterrence. By requiring those who mandated policies to experience equivalent shutdown, lockdown, and vaccination conditions, the framework creates lasting recognition of the power exercised and the harms inflicted. This approach channels demands for justice into structured, proportionate outcomes while maintaining the capacity for ongoing refinement across successive phases. Strategic implementation and perpetual accountability. Implementation begins with the most publicly documented coercers whose actions appear in video records, signed orders, and official communications. Their progression through the punishment framework generates momentum that encourages disclosure from subordinate layers. The phase structure allows for systematic asset recovery during shutdown, secure custody during lockdown, and supervised administration during full vaccination. Coordination across jurisdictions ensures consistency in application while respecting the hierarchical mapping of responsibility. The framework functions as one model within a broader set of possible approaches to accountability. It prioritizes reciprocity and experiential equivalence while operating firmly within the event-specific jurisprudential structure. The ongoing character of the process accommodates new evidence and evolving understanding, preventing any final escape through delay or evasion. This perpetual dimension aligns with the imprescriptible nature of the underlying offenses. The punishment model ultimately serves restoration of constitutional order and societal trust. By applying shutdown, lockdown, and full vaccination to those who directed the response, the framework demonstrates that no level of authority or prepositioned immunity can permanently shield malum in se crimes. The public nature of the proceedings and consequences reinforces the moral order that the original policies attacked. Conclusion. The proposed punishment framework of shutdown, lockdown, and full vaccination offers a coherent conceptual model for addressing the hierarchy of COVID criminals. It imposes reciprocal consequences that mirror the harms of societal shutdowns, restrictions on liberty, and compulsory medical interventions. The integration with star chamber proceedings, hierarchical identification, and imprescriptible legal status ensures systematic and proportionate accountability. This approach leverages the public record to trace coercion from top federal and state executives through institutional leaders while creating pathways for cooperation from lower levels. The premeditated nature of both the crimes and their legal shielding receives direct response through the structured phases. The ongoing, perpetual character of the process guarantees comprehensive resolution across all layers of participation. Ultimately, the framework upholds the philosophical demand for justice commensurate with radical evil. By requiring those who orchestrated the response to experience its core elements, it restores balance and deters future overreach. The shutdown, lockdown, and full vaccination sequence stands as a deliberate mechanism to affirm that the public record of COVID crimes will yield lasting consequences for every level of coercion within the interconnected criminal framework.